Earlier this year, we learned that Disney is losing both money and subscribers on its streaming platform Disney Plus. Disney as a whole has been dealing with a lot of issues lately. Profits from Disney's TV networks like ABC, ESPN, and Freeform have all seen major decreases. The Writers Guild and SAG-AFTRA strikes are causing issues and productions are being halted, which definitely will not help Disney turn the ship around anytime soon. And as a matter of fact, the longer those strikes go on, then more and more films and shows will be postponed, and that will lead to a decrease in the money. Things are getting so bad that the company is looking to cut 7,000 jobs, and Bob Iger has even stated that the company will begin to slow down on the production of Marvel and Star Wars content. I'll refer to one of his quotes in a bit. I've said this many times before, and I'll say it once more. I cannot believe that Disney is struggling to make successful content and make a ton of money with cash cow franchises like Star Wars and Marvel. And for me, coming from the consumer perspective, I think a lot of the issues with Disney Plus come from the way Disney is making their content. Their content has been questionable on many occasions, and I think their current plan of throwing out a bunch of one-off shows is just not the way to go. I'm not qualified to speak on how they handle the business and the financial side of things, but from the consumer standpoint, I will give my 2 cents on the content that's been coming out and explain why if that gets better, then things could be looking up for Disney. So let's talk about it. Before I talk about the content though, we have to take a look at the numbers to see what's been going on with Disney. Back in May, Disney shared that for the second quarter in a row, the streaming platform lost subscribers on a worldwide basis. The platform lost 4 million subs, including 300,000 specifically in the US and Canada. The quarter before that, they lost 2.4 million subs. At the time, there were still around 157.8 million subs total. It's crazy to see this happening because you would think by now Disney Plus would be well established. They literally gained 10 million subscribers within the first 24 hours the platform was live back in 2019. Then when everybody became stuck at home because of COVID, they secured another 86.8 million subscribers by the end of 2020. It sounds like the company's goal was to have a total of 260 million subscribers by 2024. So the numbers appear to be looking great during those first few years, right? However, I learned something interesting when looking up the stats for this video. There is a streaming platform called Disney Plus Hotstar. It is a video subscription service in India, which is, as you could probably guess, owned by Disney. 50 million Disney Plus subscribers come from Hotstar alone. However, it only makes 1/6 of the average revenue per user when compared to other subscribers from other countries. It was reported in quarter 3 that Disney Plus had about 146 million subscribers. So without Hotstar, they would have less than 100 million subscribers. Take these numbers any way you'd like, I just find it interesting to look at both the strengths and the weaknesses of a juggernaut like Disney. So now I want to bring up that Bob Iger quote and talk about the content which I think is really affecting the subscriber count for Disney Plus. So, the Bob Iger quote I want to talk about is about Marvel, and I actually agree with him for a change, well, at least on most of the quote, so here it is. You pull back not just to focus, but also as a part of our cost containment initiative, spending less on what we make and making less. Marvel is a great example of that. It had not been in the television business at any significant level, and not only did they increase their movie output, but they ended up making a number of TV series. Frankly, it diluted focus and attention. I agree that Marvel and Star Wars, for that matter, needs to slow down with the content. We need quality over quantity at this point. There's a bunch of shows and movies on Disney Plus, both old and new, but for the sake of this discussion, I want to focus primarily on Marvel and Star Wars because, quite frankly, I think most of the subscribers are there for those two franchises and every new piece of content they come out with. Ever since Disney Plus came out in 2019, both of those franchises have been pumping out content. The one thing I didn't really agree with Bob on is his tone and kind of stance, I guess, on Marvel going the TV route. I don't think every story has to be a full-on movie, but I do think the platform is perfect for featuring series that focus on other characters and storylines, maybe that aren't like Captain America, where it's like they're prime headlines for movies and things like that. There are stories, there are characters, there are little one-off series I think you can do. And then with Star Wars, you look at that franchise, prior to Disney Plus, we only had a few shows before. The Mandalorian was awesome when it first came out, and at that time we didn't know it was going to be a part of some connected universe and that all these shows are going to lead up to a movie. We've learned that recently. Originally, it seemed really cool to get a story about some new characters. And personally, I would like to see more of this. I don't think it needs to go away, I just think Disney needs to treat the streaming service more like TV. Why can't we get more shows like The Mandalorian or Loki, shows that will feature multiple seasons? The thing is, Disney is spending a ton of money on a bunch of shows that last anywhere between 6 to 10 episodes, and then the runtimes are always all over the place. I still can't believe we got 6 episodes for Kenobi, and then halfway through they gave us a 38-minute episode. And you could subtract a few minutes from that thanks to the credits. There's a few shows from both Marvel and Star Wars that I can critique a lot on. Mando Season 3, Book of Boba, Kenobi, Ms. Marvel, and She-Hulk. I could pick apart each of these shows, but I will also defend them to a certain extent. I don't know how these writers, directors, and producers are able to create, well thought out shows and not rush any storylines when they are given just one season, and again, usually 6 to 8 episodes or 6 to 10 episodes to fit in an entire story. Like, honestly, no wonder why some of these shows leave us with more to be desired. And it is no wonder that Disney is losing money because they were trying to pump out new shows practically every month. I believe that was a goal early on for them as well, coming out with as much content as possible. The next big thing just came out on Disney Plus, and that is the Ahsoka show, and they are doing the same thing with the runtimes. It's an 8-episode show, and the 3rd episode, for example, is only 34 minutes long, probably down to 30 again once you subtract for time of the credits. The first episode was 54 minutes and the second was 42, and they also released the first 2 episodes for the premiere. Now, I might just be nitpicking here, but in my opinion, the show is 8 episodes long. Why rush the content out? Releasing 1 episode a week allows Disney to have Ahsoka keep Star Wars and the platform relevant for the next 2 months. Just one show can do that because, well, that's just how big Star Wars is. I don't think releasing 2 episodes in 1 week is the end of the world, but I think it's just another example to bring up when you look at how quickly Disney is trying to roll out content. Oh, and I think it is great that Disney has changed their release times. Ahsoka episodes will be releasing at 9 p.m. Eastern or 8 p.m. Central Time, and honestly, I hope going forward they do this for every show, whether it's Star Wars, Marvel, or any other piece of content. There is no reason for episodes to be released at 2 a.m. when literally nobody could watch them. Now, I'm somebody that used to be able to watch them due to working from home when my company was full-time at home because of COVID and everything, and I was able to sleep in and not have to worry about commuting to work, but that's changed for me, and just like many other people, there's a lot of them that have to get up early for work or school, so they're not staying up until 2 o'clock to watch it. And as a matter of fact, especially when you look at Ahsoka, if you're going to do a 90-minute premiere, people are going to be up until 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning. It just doesn't make any sense. You're not going to get many people to watch when it first opens up. And also, it's funny to look back at when cable TV was the big thing, and I mean, technically, in some ways, at times, this still happens, where, people got hyped up for new shows or episodes releasing, again, on the regular cable television channels, and honestly, I don't see why that wouldn't happen on streaming apps. A brand new show or episode should release during a time when most people are awake, and so that hype pops off right away, because once people watch that episode, then they will take to social media to talk about it and engage with other people, or maybe they go check out the breakdowns from their favorite content creators. Now, I am sure that there is more that Disney will need to figure out to fix their issues, but content is always king. So if they slow down on the production of Marvel and Star Wars content, that should be a good thing and help them get in the right direction. Star Wars needs to get back into movie theaters, and we know that supposedly 3 movies are on the way. I think Marvel will get back on track with their future movies, but again, there's nothing wrong with these shows, they just need to tweak their process up a bit, and they at least are beginning to do that with changing release times and slowing down on the amount of content coming. And here's hoping it gets better, because I really want to watch quality content from both Marvel and Star Wars. Well, tell me your thoughts down below in the comments section. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. You can listen to the podcast version of all my content on Spotify at Analyze This Podcast. You can actually find the audio on other platforms as well, like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Stitcher. You can also find me on Twitter and TikTok, Twitter at AnalyzeThis_YT, and TikTok at AnalyzeThis54_YT. Thanks again for watching, and take care.